Welcome to Mangastorian's complete story series. Today we're going to be covering chapters 70 to 74 of Berserk. All alterations to the panel text and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. At the end of our last video, Guts found himself battling against the demon known as Waleed, leader of the Black Dog Knights, and though he managed to bring him down, he soon recovered enough to take a hold of Griffith. But before he could kill him, the immortal demon Zod appeared and killed him, giving Guts his last warning of what's about to happen. As the members of the Hawks regrouped after the run-in with both Waleed and Zod, they set out to the Midland border to escape the King's pursuit. The remaining soldiers all turned to Casca to lead them, but with everyone's beaten and broken bodies, Casca could not come up with any words to soothe the group. Through the silence, Guts looks over at the carriage to where Griffith is resting, as he too has no words to say. But as time passes, Corcus steps forward asking if all of the stuff that Waleed said is true, and Casca doesn't answer. Frustrated with no answers, Corcus says, "Fine, he'll just go ask Griffith then." But before he can go, Judo stops him, stating, "Forget it. Griffith is not able to answer you." Corcus laughs, stating that this is a joke, right? His throat is just rough from being in prison, right? But as the team who went to get Griffith say nothing, Corcus screams, "What the hell is this? We were supposed to start over once we got Griffith back. We are framed as outlaws. We had to hide for a year. More than half of us are dead, but we were supposed to come back once we got Griffith back." Corcus takes out his sword and he begins breaking it against a rock before sitting down, stating, "I knew this was coming. I just knew it." Though no words were spoken, the wind blowing by told everyone what they already knew. It announced the end of their fight. Some of the Hawks ask what are they supposed to do now. Casca is still here. She can still lead them. Judo steps forward, telling them that for a year Casca did the impossible by leading them. But as the Hawks talk amongst themselves, Guts stands up. Casca turns away, telling him that he needs to give her some more time. There's still some time for both of their separate forces to come together, so she'll have to think this one over. Guts follows her, asking, "What is it you're planning on thinking over?" And she asks, "What is it you said to everyone a while ago?" Guts finishes it by stating that I finished the battles that I started. Casca tells him, "Sure, you're strong, but there must be a battle that even you couldn't finish, and at this moment, could you say that to Griffith?" She goes on to state that everyone there is weak because they all hang on to their dreams. But for those who have lost everything, he should offer some kind words, maybe a pep talk. Guts remains silent, but as Casca looks back at him, she leans into him, stating, all she wants right now is to be at someone's side. From the carriage, Griffith watches. Casca says that she's going to see Griffith so that she can change his bandages. But while Casca does that, Guts says to himself what she said, that she wants to be by someone's side. Inside the carriage, Casca begins wrapping up the last bit of Griffith's arm. But as she does, she begins to think back to how his now small hands used to hold everything. They were the hands that held onto her while she was trembling, and they used to put her to ease. As she ties up the last bandage, she sees her hands tremble like they used to. Griffith's eyes watch, but through her trembling, Casca knocks over the wash bucket. Casca says that she's sorry, she'll go get him a new blanket. But Griffith leans up, but without any strength to hold himself up, he falls over on top of Casca. She tells him to stop, but she holds on to him, as she feels him trembling. So without any words, Casca lays there holding on to their leader. Outside, Guts and Judo talk about their plans for what's next. Judo asks Guts if he's gonna go off to train some more, but without Guts answering, he figured that would be the case. Guts then asks what about him, and Judo says that he would start a group of thieves with some of the people here. That way he could take care of Griffith since it would only be him. Guts responds with, if that's the case, I'll stay and help look after Griffith. And Judo says that he's already left once, so really, it's no longer his obligation. Guts looks at Judo and asks, is it yours? And Judo says that it is. He's still a member of the Hawks. Judo looks back, telling Guts, you're different though. You should take Casca with you when you leave. While the two continue talking, Gaston and the rest run over to ask Guts if he plans on leaving like he did before. Because if he does, they'd like to go with him. The entire raiding group would follow him anywhere. They'll be mercenaries or whatever, just let them come along. Guts doesn't answer and thinks back to how Judo told him that he would find his place among the Hawks. That after getting away from them, Guts sees Casca sitting by herself. He asks how's Griffith and she tells him that he's sleeping, and then Casca looks away. Guts asks what's wrong and then notices that she's crying. She tries to brush it off, but he tells her that she wouldn't be crying if it was nothing. So what's wrong with Griffith? She shouts for him to just stop it, and the tears begin to fall, and she tells him that she's sorry, but she can't go with him. Griffith is just too small and he trembles, so she can't go now. As Guts holds on to her, he tells her to stay. Casca then says he's fighting his own battles. It's like the night when he watched Griffith speak with Charlotte after having dreams. So if he really is Griffith's friend, he must go. He must go alone. Back inside Griffith's carriage, his eyes begin to widen as a man stands before him, and that man is an image of himself asking if he's afraid of this place. He struggles trying to get up and talk, but the image sticks its sword into the ground, and then it points over at an image of the castle. As Griffith tries to talk, he reaches down to the sword to pick himself up, and then the younger version of Griffith runs by telling him to hurry up and let's go. They haven't played enough yet. Griffith tries to call out to the boy running by, but no words come out. Outside, Guts and Casca hear a sound and they turn to see Griffith's carriage riding off. She says that it couldn't have been just because of their talk, but Guts hops onto another carriage and tells Casca to tell the others he'll go after Griffith. Up ahead, Griffith rides off holding the reins in his mouth, chasing after the little boy. He can't stop now. The stone pathway still continues on. As the carriage goes on, it hits a rock and it launches Griffith from the front seat. As he flies through the air, things become black, and then he sees himself. And he sees Casca. Are they married? The little boy runs through the house playing with a dog, and Casca shouts to the little boy that Guts is telling him not to be mean to Pippin. He needs to go wash up for dinner. The little boy Guts yells, "Yes, Mama," and runs off. Casca then begins to feed Griffith his dinner, but in the spoon, Griffith begins to see a face. The face of the behemoth. Griffith's eyes open back up and he finds himself floating in the lake that he flew into. As he picks himself back up, he notices that his arm is now broken and just swinging there. He closes his eyes and he begins to laugh uncontrollably. And he notices a stick poking up through the water. He leans over, letting the tip press against his throat, and then he pushes. The stick pierces through his neck and the blood begins to drip down his body. But as the bugs begin to fly around, Griffith feels something on his hand, and he starts to pull back. In his hand is the egg of the Emperor, the one that was taken away when he was sent to prison. As Griffith holds the egg out, he remembers when Zod told him that it would return to him one day and would lay it telling him to use it to summon their guardian angels. Griffith then starts to look around as the wind around him soon begins to pick up. And a little ways back, Guts continues riding to find Griffith and thinks back to asking if it was him that pushed Griffith over the edge. But if he did it, why him? What can he do? He then hears horses coming from behind and Casca runs up, leading the rest of the Hawks. She tells herself that she was careless. Griffith had to have heard her and Guts talking, and now he's past the point of no return. The rest of the Hawks follow up closely behind Guts, but suddenly everyone stops to look forward. And what they see is an eclipse. Guts says that this can't be it, can it? And as Griffith watches, the blood from his neck drips down his arm and onto the egg. Guts calls out to Griffith, but using what strength he can, Griffith tells him to stay back. Guts then sees figures in the distance, all walking towards them. As the sun fully eclipses, more of the deformed figures begin crawling and making their way towards the group. Guts says that he doesn't understand, but he knows right now they are all in danger. He hops off the carriage and he runs towards Griffith, but he shouts for everyone to stay back. Griffith thinks that right now if Guts touches him, he would never forgive him again. Guts grabs a hold of Griffith, but as he looks at the blood dripping down, he sees the bloody egg in Griffith's hand. Soon the face of the egg begins to change and twist, until finally it forms an actual face. With blood running from its eyes, the egg screams out, and everyone stops. Over in the sky, heads and faces begin to look down on them, and everyone begins to panic. The ground slowly begins to change, and then everyone notices that they are standing on giant faces. Meanwhile, elsewhere, Rickert sits in a carriage as two men drop him off at the Midland borders. He gets out, and one man stops him, telling him to take this with him, and he hands him a pouch. The man tells him that it's medicine for all sorts of injuries. It's a secret formula that works for everything, since he looks like he could just fall over at any moment. Rickert tells him thank you, but he must be on his way now. And while he walks off, another woman watches, asking the man if he thinks that he could have been wrong. It was like he had seen something terrible. But through the carriage, another person watches, asking if he should see him off. The shadowy figure then says as soon as Rickert saw him, he acted like he had seen a ghost. But with him being able to see him, he must have come from a good family. That or his friends did horrible things to him. The gypsy woman says let her look to see the child's future. As she places her hands on a crystal ball, as she begins to see something, an evil omen. An unbelievable misfortune is about to happen. She then says where the boy is heading. Stars are gathering, but with the arrangement of stars, an evil omen is coming. The question now, will the eclipse affect the country or the entire world? The figure then tells the woman that he really doesn't understand all of this stuff, but if something bad is about to happen, they should probably go stop it. The woman says that they must not. The child is to play an important role in this arrangement of stars. Such is the child's fate. The figure tells her that she's making a sound like it's so much more serious than it really is. After all, things happen because they're supposed to, right? Suddenly voices from outside begin asking, what is that? And the figure rushes out to look. Outside, the sun is fully covered, creating a solar eclipse. Rickert stares at it, stating that it feels so evil. and he begins to ask if there's something wrong with everyone. The little figures begin to flutter atop the man from before's head, and he says that it looks like a huge hole in the sky. The man shouts that he told him not to stand on his head, and the little figure tells him, it's okay. It's not like you're gonna get any bolder. The little figure then tells everyone surely either a god or a devil will come out of that huge hole. Back with the rest of the Hawks, everyone watches and screams as the world around them begins to transform into something grotesque. Everyone begins shouting, what the hell is going on? Why are we not in the grasslands anymore? And Korkus says that this isn't right. Are they in a dream, or are they really dead without even realizing it? Casca shouts for everyone to settle down and shut up. Right now what they need to do is get in close formation and have no one stray from that. She calls out to Guts to get Griffith back on his horse, and he picks Griffith up, and then he notices the blood drip off of the egg. Guts asks himself, how is it that Griffith even has that thing? He's pretty sure that he didn't have it when they went to rescue him. More so, what's with his face? Why does it look like an awful face with blood dripping from its eyes? Was it what changed the world? As Guts continues to look at it, he notices that Griffith's eyes are now bleeding as well. Everyone begins to shout that there is something coming towards them, and Casca asks, what are those things? The deformed figures begin to shout out that it's the night of the festival! And it only comes once every 216 years. It's the Eclipse! Guts watches as they begin to come. The one of the supernaturals is descending. The 4 guardian angels. As the deformed figures all begin to dance around from the hills of faces, a giant woman begins to get up. And that concludes these chapters of Berserk. We have a lot more chapters to go, and things are going to get even more and more twisted, so I hope you guys enjoy.